afternoon, everybody. I hope I'm audible. Start by thanking the Kwame Nkrumah Institute and also greetings to fellow participants, panelists, and speakers. Let me start by saying a few words about myself. I come from South Africa, and in 1978, I arrived in Dar es Salaam as, well, you call us refugees or freedom fighters, but I was part of the ANC in Tanzania. And what I remember is that during one visit to Morogoro town, a small convoy of President Nyerere was there. I just remember there were 3 cars, 2 Land Rovers, and a Mercedes-Benz. Then the next meeting was in 1989, when he came to a place called Mazimbu, where the ANC had a school, a fully functioning school. President Nyerere arrived there towards the end of 1989. And he addressed us there, mainly ANC people who were there. And he was telling us something that Namibia was going to be free. And the expectation was that the leaders of SWAPO, President Nojoma and his colleagues, will have the task of going around the country, then Southwest Africa, and spread a message of acceptance, a message to make the white inhabitants there, to give them an assurance that there would be future for them in that future Namibia, that they would not be persecuted, that they have no reasons to leave the country. And he continued by saying also to us that he's well aware that some of the SWAPO members or Namibians may not necessarily support such a gesture. But he said it's the duty of the leaders to do it. And he said, despite all the effort, he's well aware that some, he was referring to the whites there, he says some may opt to leave because they may not necessarily believe that for whatever that they had done to the Namibians, they could just be forgiven. But he says there would be others who would sit on the fence, and if they see that there is nothing wrong happening to those that are remaining, they may return. He said to us that the same was done in Rhodesia, where Joshua Nkomo and Robert Mugabe had to assure the white settlers that future Zimbabwe would accept them as equal citizens. And then he came to the case of South Africa. But before then, he said that he suspects that quite a number of the white people in Namibia would easily move to South Africa and wait in South Africa or watch the situation, and you know, if things are normal, then they will go back. Then he said that when the turn of South Africa happens, he's not sure where they would move to wait, because further down is only the ocean. Well, obviously we laugh, but he said that they would find somewhere to go. He gave us a reasons to say that this is part of the duties of the leaders to create a new climate, a climate of reconciliation, a climate for possible unity of people who had been at war with each other. he alluded to the fact that in the case of Mozambique and Angola, that opportunity did not exist. The events happened in such a way that people ran away and the leaders were not there to assure them. And in some cases, civil war followed. That was my, listening to him telling us this. My second meeting or encounter was here in Pretoria, in South Africa. He had come here, first he was here for the inauguration of President Mandela, but months later, in 1995, he came to the Africa Institute, where I was working as a researcher then, 1995. Because I had lived in Tanzania, my colleagues had specifically assigned me the responsibility of waiting for President Nyerere and to welcome him right in the parking lot. And the meeting was, it was in the evening, around 7 o'clock South African time. So I'm waiting also with a torch to give an indication that this is the right place. We have kept the garage door wide open. And yes, on the right time, his vehicle came in. There were two vehicles, actually. The Mercedes in which President Nyerere was in, and the security vehicle. So he gets out. Obviously, I get there. I greet him in my Kiswahili. He sort of acknowledges, he thanks me. He asks me, where did I learn this Kiswahili? Then I tell him, no, I learned in Tanzania. Then everything is okay. This is Mzee Mwalimu. Then we walk towards the lift. This is not a big building. We walk towards the lift. When we get to this lift, this is 1995, he has retired. He retired in 1985, but he's still active. So we get to this lift and I press the lift. He quickly says to me, wait a minute, what are we waiting for here? I say to him, Your Excellency, we are waiting for the lift. And he says, oh, on which floor are we going to? I say, we are going to the 3rd floor. He says to me, no, I can walk. I don't have to take a lift to the 3rd floor. Oh my God, now. And then I say to him, and then he turns around, he says, I don't know about you if you can walk. But quickly he led the way. Now I'm following him up. My director is definitely waiting on the 3rd floor at the, in front of the lift, expecting Mwalimu to come out of the lift. Here comes Mwalimu walking on the stairs. And my director says, oh, Kenneth, what have you done? I say, well, he insisted on walking. So he is welcomed by my director, and we go into this big meeting where the wall was packed. Essentially, he was addressing members of the diplomatic corps in Pretoria, and that meeting also went very, very well. So those were my two interactions. But what is important is that here comes the retired president at when Mwalimu retired, when he left the presidency of Tanzania in 1985, forged unity among his own people, among various ethnic groups of Tanzania, that today when you're talking of Tanzanians, you're talking of a more unified people. And to me, that tallies with what he was talking here in the earlier clips, that development is not the real buildings. Development is if you can bring education to people. And one thing I recall is that after he took over, after the independence, he focused on two big areas, education and health. And that education was actually adult education, a lot of it, encouraging Tanzanians to receive education. So those were some of the things. Also the bringing in of the language, developing Kiswahili to make it finally a national language, a language that unifies the Tanzanians. So those has done well in terms of the vision. And to me, if I'm looking for Mwalimu's legacy, I would actually say you would find it both in Tanzania. If you interact with the Tanzanians, you would realize that, yeah. But if you go outside of Tanzania, you also realize that his legacy is here. It's all over SADC. It's all over the African continent. There was one incident, I think this was, could have been around somewhere in somewhere in the 90s, late 90s, when he was asked to go and mediate in Burundi. In one of these encounters, journalists had seen him going out of Bujumbura, the capital of Burundi, and they asked him questions to say, well, you have been coming in and here, what progress have you made in this peace that you are trying to forge? And his reaction was like this. I can't quote him verbatim, but his reaction to the journalist was that, look, I'm here to help, and I don't have the luxury to want quick results, and I don't have the luxury to throw my hands in the air and say I've been defeated. Even if there is no progress now, but because what I'm doing involves saving lives, I'll keep on doing it. And to us, that was the peacemaker, that was Mwalimu, wanting to forge unity in different countries that, are on the African continent. I think I can say this far, unless there's something else that I need to say. There are many things that I personally had used to hear, but some are in English, and I still play them. Let me say once again, let me thank the organizers. And I was told that I have 5 minutes to speak. I'm sure that I've covered the 5 minutes. Thank you very much. May God bless you.